You're listening to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two best friends recap romance novels while squinting at frat libraries and delighting in the hot dummies that visit them.
Stack our shelves with the clinches out. Shout it from the rooftop, can you hear the sound? Yeah. Live your best life, love it out loud. Love it out loud.
Hey there, HBs. Sabrina here again, still filling in while Mel battles a case of laryngitis and remains on strict vocal rest. When we left off yesterday, Nick had been adorably stalking Patrick at his new overnight job, and after a broom closet tryst, Nick cold texted Patrick for the first time and asked him on a proper date. So that's where we're jumping in.
So, yeah, they have a date, and we zoom straight over, and Nicholas takes Pat in a full tux.
Full tux. And Pat says, like, I don't know what to wear via text. And he says, anything you wear will be perfect. Then he shows up in a limousine in a full tux and takes him to the opera first.
And Pat
loves it.
The opera. He thought it was amazing. And then he's like waxing poetic about the villain.
He specifically loves the witch queen who should obviously run things.
And he talks shit about the hero. And Nick starts getting really fussy. And he's like, wait, you don't identify as the hero. He's so stupid and lame. You're not lame at all. You're amazing.
I loved that part because Nick is obviously thinking, like, he doesn't respect anything about me or what I believe in or what I want. And he's like, no, it's not specifically that he's, like, quote unquote good. It's that he doesn't think about anything critically and he doesn't think about anybody but himself. And he's not open-minded at all. And you are all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Oh. And then Nick takes him to a fancy restaurant and while they're eating.
Specifically, he does not.
Oh, you're right.
So here's what happens. First of all, there's a lady who comes over and doesn't, like, even deign to recognize Pat's existence. Mm-hmm. And Nick is obviously very uncomfortable. And so Pat just, like, gives him some space. And then as Nick comes over, he, like, ends up very surreptitiously holding hands with Pat. And Pat's got this, like, Cheshire Cat smile on his face. And then as, like, the opera, you know, it does a normal hero's journey trajectory. And Nick is like, so the witch queen got defeated and it was bullshit. And, you know, I'm, like, a little bit mad about how the opera ended. And then Nick, sort of apropos of nothing, looks over and he's like, I have a reservation at a really, really, really fancy restaurant that's, like, on top of a building and it has views of the whole city. And Pat is like, okay. And then Nick says, but I don't understand. I don't know how to do this. I don't know why I'm trying to impress you like this because I take you to the opera and you're not impressed by the box. You're impressed by, like, the talent of the people. And I know that you don't care about things like a fancy restaurant. And, you know, like the lady who approached me would like something like that, but I don't want to date her. I like dating you. And so I guess my question is, how do you feel about a falafel? And Pat says, I know just the place, and takes him to a street vendor.
Across the street from his house, specifically.
Yeah. And Nick has never had anything from a street vendor. And Pat is like, he's patting himself on the back, being like, I am so slick. Took him to this street vendor on a cold night right across the street from my house, because then I can be like, oh, would you like to warm up and eat in a nice place that is my house?
I love how genuine Pat is.
Self-congratulatory. Genuinely self-congratulatory.
Like, he talks about how Nick is earnest. Pat is equally earnest, just in a very opposite direction.
It's so cute.
So then they go up and have the most sweet romantic moment where they're talking about all the things that they know about each other and the
This is-
kitchenette.
The amount of highlights I have from this scene is
I
ungodly.
didn't highlight a single thing because I couldn't pick.
Yeah, you couldn't pick.
I
Mhm.
had a decision paralysis.
Mhm.
Paralysis, like what is it called? Analysis paralysis, and I couldn't
Yeah.
decide which one I wanted.
Mhm.
Oh,
No, but
God.
essentially they're trying to make up, and Nick says to Pat, "I need to get to know you from scratch because I don't know anything about you." And Pat gets really pissed off about that, and he's like, "Fuck you! That's not true. I didn't put on any airs. I wasn't anybody but myself the whole time. You might have thought I had a different job, but like I was always Pat. You know so much about me." And then Nick is like, "But you understand that meeting you in that context and then finding out I have to lift that, sort of veneer off of it, that changes things for me." And Pat's like, "Yeah,
Mhm.
sure, but you still know me." And he gets mad and he's about to leave. And then he grabs him and he's like, "Patrick West." And then he starts telling him all the wonderful and like also slightly annoying things that are still really endearing and all the things about him. And then my favorite part is that after this whole monologue, Patrick looks down at the ground and he says, "I knew you were paying attention." And then he
Yeah.
tells Nick all the things about him, and it ends in sweet. And Nick says, "Sweet? Nobody's ever called me sweet before." And he's like, "Yeah, bro, you're totally sweet." Literally, like that's what he says. "Yeah, bro, you're totally sweet."
You fucking bro. And then Pat is like, "Oh God, I need to tell him about my family and be honest." And so he goes to say it, and then Nick's like, no, don't do that. We need to come together and heal before any big confessions and
Any big disclosures. And I loved this because both of them were coming at it in like, this is what's best for the relationship kind of thing. So
Mhm.
in this way, Pat has tried to lay everything out on the table, and Nick knows that there is still something huge that
Mhm.
he needs to find out, but they're still able to reconnect sexily.
Boy, because they do end up making out on that couch.
Wow. And then they break the whole couch.
They not only
With
the
sex.
couch, they kick over the table.
Oh, yeah.
with a blowjob and just like, oh my God, they break everything. And then wait, hang on,
Is it Patrick's babbling while he's inside Nick? Babbling while he penetrates
he
Nick.
says, "I will so have sex with you, like so much. You have no idea. You'd better." It sounded like a threat, and even that was insanely hot. Just like the way Nick settled his shoulders deeper into the cushions. Like he's like, yeah, I'll totally have sex with you, bro.
Bro, I'll have so much sex
I'm
with you. You
gonna-
have no idea.
Oh my
And then
God.
afterwards, and he's saying things like, you're such a dork and you're so geeky and it feels so good to be inside you. Like, all this- he's just babbling adorable things.
Mhm.
And then they break that couch all over the place, and then they spend the night.
The best part is that they break it mid-fuck. This is not
Yeah.
at the end of sex. They
No.
break mid-fuck. And then they pause, look at the carnage, and go, meh, and just go right back at it. And I was
Yeah,
like champions.
that's right.
Fucking love you both.
That's right.
And then he stays over. And he's
Yeah.
like, "I'll cook the best eggs you've ever had, rich boy."
Yeah.
And it was cute. And adorable.
It's so cute. So now they're together, but also it's like go time for Patrick's minioning because they've gotten a new power source.
Yeah. Well, before even that
Oh,
happens,
yeah, the dad. And
it's
the
time for
dinner.
family dinner because the dad is home. And they're
Mhm.
waiting, like, mom's not home yet. She has to get shipped back on a literal boat because she's ginormous. But he accidentally drops the boyfriend bomb
Mm-hmm.
in front of his family. And now all of them are like, we have to meet him.
No, the dad says we have to meet them because it's obvious that every single sister already knows who it is,
Mm-hmm.
which is nuts. to Pat.
Yeah.
He's like, holy shit, my sisters know I'm dating a hoagie.
Mm-hmm.
And like they're giving him a little bit of shit about it, but they're not outing him to his dad.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
So you're right. We're back to minioning. We get to meet one of my favorite characters in any book I've ever fucking read. And his name is Star Knight.
He's a mess.
He is sneeze and a building's coming down. He's a hoagie.
God.
He is like Superman if Superman was the fucking
A bull in a
dumbest
china shop.
thing that's ever existed.
Yeah.
So he's straight up like the mind control ray is working. It's been a couple of days or something.
It's been like a
And,
week. It's
yeah.
amazing.
And like it's all working perfectly.
And they're rebuilding shit. They're making sure that all the corruption is gone in the
And then
offices.
Star Knight comes blasting through the ceiling and lands directly on top of the mind control ray. And then he kicks it and punches it and smushes it into a tiny little metal pancake and then
he
curls
stands
up
on top
of it and goes to sleep. Because to get his star power back, he has to take a little nappy nap.
It's so funny. So he's now comatose on top of this puddle.
And he can't be moved. That's
of
the
mind
best
right-
part.
No.
He can't be moved.
He's like 3 tons. He's so heavy.
Mhm.
And so they color all over him and like
They take his
group
cape.
pics. They take his cape. Oh my God. They color all over him and they take pics that go viral and it's a whole thing.
Mhm.
And then
Because social media is super important for villains and hoagies.
huge. And so then it's go time because Sir Toby knows that this is when, now that everybody's obviously no longer mind controlled, this is when he has to make his final stand. And so he delegates all his minions to do different things. And Pat's job is to take care of the secret lair. But the secret lair is just a regular office building because who can be bothered to go to like a warehouse underground or whatever?
Well, no, that's the thing that Pat makes a big
He's
deal
so
about is
happy
that Sir
about it.
Toby is like so with the times.
He's pragmatic.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Love it.
So he gets a call from one of the other minions and they're like, a hoagie is on the way. And guess who is on the way? It's not Nexus, I'll tell you that much. So he goes into the private office to start deleting all the files. But like in Sir Toby's office, all the files are just like some speeches.
Cookie
and, like a bunch
recipes?
of cookie recipes and a bunch of cocktail recipes. And it's so cute.
Sir Toby's the best. He's classy.
He's the best.
Okay.
I love him. So then Silver Paladin he slams open the door. Kabam! Only a superhero could do it like that. And then he looms up behind Pat and he's
Oh my
like,
God.
what do you think you're doing?
I'm about to start sweating.
I
This-
know.
What? Like the minute he walked into that office, I was like, is this about to be every superhero fantasy I've ever had come true?
Yeah, the answer is yes. This is every sex scene that I've wanted in a superhero
In every
or even a
superhero
sci-
movie.
or even a sci-fi romance. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
It's really good. So he comes up behind him and he's like, what do you think you're doing? And Pat's like, I'm just deleting all these files, so that it doesn't land in the hands of the enemy. Silver Paladin goes, is that who I am? Am I the enemy? And he's like, well, we don't have to like make it a big deal or whatever. It doesn't have to be like a real thing, but like, stylistically, yeah, enemy.
Yeah. You're the hoagie with more money than sense, and I'm just the
Yes.
part-time minion. That's not who we are. It's just what we do. We don't have to let it be this huge thing. There's
And
no
Pat-
meaningful difference between who we are and what we do. And then he like crowds him
Uh-huh.
against the table, and oh my God, they're about to have sex on Sir Toby's table. And
Uh-huh.
dude, Pat sounded every bit as breathless as he felt. It might have been embarrassing, except, come on, he was only human. Nobody who had Silver Paladin standing between their legs, all burning stare and straining cock, could be expected to remain unimpressed.
No, absolutely not. And so then he starts using his force field powers.
The sexiest force field!
So he like lays him down on the desk with force fields, and then he lifts up his hips Oh, sorry. He takes off his pants and underwear and socks only with force fields. Does not touch him. He's got one hand on his hip right now and the other hand on his own cock. Stripping him down with his force fields. And then he lays him down.
Naked? He says, "There's no use fighting it." Nick's voice was lower than Pat had ever heard it. A dark echo of the hero voice laden with sex and something harder, more dangerous. "I've caught you, evil minion, and you aren't getting away. You are entirely at my mercy."
I cannot. And
then
Pat is laying there being like, "What? Wait. Because Pat's being like, I don't understand what's happening. Oh, wait, are we role-playing? Okay, yeah. You're bluffing."
And "I am righteous," Nick growled. "Yes, I am righteous, but I am also a man, and you have pushed me too far. You must be taught a lesson, villain, and I will be the one to deliver it, and there's nothing you can do to stop me." And then he says, "How does it feel knowing that you're mine to do whatever I please with? How does it feel knowing that I'm going to take you every way I want? Sate myself on your body, open you up and fuck you until you beg. Oh, hell yeah. I mean,
no.
You can't do that. You better not, okay? If you do, I'll tell everyone. I'll tell them all." "You'll tell them what?"
Oh my God. And it's so great because then he uses the force fields to like put fingers down his body and he like tweaks a nipple with them. And then he starts opening up his dark passage.
Oh, Melody.
I read that the other day. I know. He starts like opening up his ass with his force fields. And then as he's like squaring up, Pat is laying there being like, "Oh, I think we're still role-playing." But then he realizes that Nick is standing there waiting for like his affirmative consent before he does anything else. And so Pat like nods frantically. And then Nick enters him. And then
That's
goes...
the only way to describe it.
Yeah. So he enters him and then he like lays down on top of him. Doesn't he say some really sweet things nuzzling into his neck now?
"I love being inside you," Nick whispered against Pat's lips. "Every time I see you, I want to tear off your clothes and bury my cock at you."
Yeah.
Pat suspected it was a terrible line, especially given Nick's track record when it came to dirty talk. Right now, though, when he was trembling apart on Nick's cock, his entire body thrilling to Nick's touch, right now, it really worked. And Nick's just like snuzzling into him, and he's like, "I just love being inside you, and I want to be with this is amazing.
I want to be in you and with you and just all the time." And then he goes from 0 to 200 because there's just he can't hold back anymore. And then he realizes at the end that he also used his force fields as a condom.
That's the sexiest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I know.
And then it's kind of sad because Nick does have a moment, though, afterwards where he legitimately is like, "Oh my God, I wonder if Patrick did that on purpose so that they could actually destroy everything."
I was so scared because when I was looking at the screen, I was like, that was the last line. And then it was a page turn before I could figure out how
But then
he
luckily
felt.
he realizes that he started it. This was all his fault. He was like, "Fuck it."
So he has this moment because Pat says something like, "Are you sure this isn't my plan to like distract you so that we can do evil stuff elsewhere?" And he has this moment of like, "Oh shit." And then the next page when I went over it was like, Nick grinned. Nick grinned. He knew that that's not what happened.
All right.
Okay,
so
now
we're at the point where
Melody's
do you
done
have
now.
any more?
All I know is that his mom shows up and coils around him.
So his mom is home. His mom literally attacks him in his hallway.
Yeah.
Into his home and like curls up around him and is like snuggling.
She's like, "Oh, my baby, like you've grown so much and you're so different and blah, blah, blah." And he's like, I mean, she's the one who's like doubled in size and stuff. She's the one who's
How did she get up the hallway? You know, like,
okay, do we ever get a better description of her actual physical form?
she is Naga.
Okay, so
Like,
she's a snake lady
she's
with
got
arms.
arms. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
Got it.
Oh, but also most importantly, Nick bought him a replacement couch,
Gah. Yeah. Yeah, it's so cute.
which is adorable.
But his mom, with her little sneaky nose, can smell.
Mm.
And she's
Yeah.
snuffling around that apartment. And she can tell that he has a new beau. And he's like, well, he's like super busy. I don't know when
Yeah,
you'll be
there's
able to
no way.
meet him. There's that's not how that works. And she's like, if he has time for you, he has time for your family. Besides,
Uh-huh.
do you think that world domination will leave me a lot of leisure in which to question and test your partner? A quick meeting here and there will suffice. One will have to take place before we begin to put my plans in motion, of course. He must be made aware of the consequences should he fail to make you happy. And Pat's just like, Mom, God, why? So now she's sniffing on the air, right? She's got that scent in
Yeah.
her little snaky nostrils.
Yeah.
And then we go into a scene where it
Yeah.
sounds like Pat is confessing everything to Nick. And it's like, oh my fucking
Oh.
God, what the shit, Pat? Like everything about his mom and his thing and all the, and it's while Nick's just casually cooking dinner.
Is it a
and then we
dream
find
or
that-
is he practicing?
He's just staring. He's just
Oh.
staring at Nick's ass while he's cooking and thinking in his head, I really need to tell Nick about this. But he doesn't. And then all of a sudden Nick is like, he's going to be busy because Serpentissima's arriving. And so like, I'm going to have to deal with that. And Pat still hasn't said anything. He's still keeping
Oh,
it to
Pat.
himself.
He tried and then he lost his gumption.
Yeah. And so Pat's now trying to get Nick to come meet his family because his family's like, we need to meet. Like he's trying
How,
to get
though,
it
Pat?
out. He's trying to get it out. And he's like, maybe it'll just be easier if they just meet.
Oh
But,
no,
like-
that's a hard no, Pat.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then Nick is clearly nervous about meeting Pat's parents. Like he keeps fucking up.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know if you caught this. He's cooking. He has
Mhm.
AI in the background describing what to do in order and like use this much butter, use this much oil, leave it there for this
Uh-huh.
long. And it's like super cute. And now he's fucking it up because he's worried about meeting Nick's family. And now, knock. His
Okay.
sisters are at the door,
Sure.
and Nick straight up goes out the window and is like, "I'll see you later, dude. Enjoy breakfast. Like enjoy food. Gotta go." And so he just fucks off. And then his sisters come in. Then we zippy zap, and his mom has picked like some ancient church to set everything up at.
Mhm.
And her big plan is that they're at this ancient church and she has this stuff called Hero's Bane. And so all of the heroes, when they come to attack her, she's going to cover them in Hero's Bane. They're going to be frozen. And then she's going to put them into alcoves. And then it's just going to create a beautiful aesthetic for as all of these heroes are attempting to come get her, right?
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So they get some
That's gonna really
tours.
mess things up for Pat. It's gonna be tough to date a frozen hero.
It is. Unsurprisingly, things don't exactly go according to plan.
Oh, I was. Don't you know?
So,
you don't
and
say.
so like the whole time, like Pat's like super conflicted because
Mhm.
he wants his mom to succeed because that's his
Yeah.
mom, but also like he wants his boyfriend to be able to just fly around and be the good guy that he is. And he's
Yeah.
like, I don't know what to do here, but he's like, fine, whatever. We're just going to let things come as they happen. And which, Pat, this is a moment where you really don't need to be going with the flow. You know, my man,
Can't do
like,
that. Can't.
that's
do
not how
it.
this should be handled, right?
Mm-mm.
Well, so as you mentioned earlier, Pat is in charge of the serpent sluts. And it is exactly as you described earlier. They
I'm
have
obsessed.
pillows at the
Yes.
base of the throne. They're all in sexy,
skimpy,
right?
skimpy
It's like
outfits.
leather pants and just body
Oiled
oil
up.
everywhere. And it's super cute because when his mom sees him, she's like, Pat, you can't be the head serpent slut. That's your father's role. And his father comes walking out and he's like, hun, and he's in the outfit, but he's, a pudgy accountant dad. And so she's like, you're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
but you're my head serpent slut. And he's like, but honey, it's time. It's
time to
let me-
pass the
I'll-
baton.
Yeah, I'll be in the background helping make sure that everything goes smoothly. And it
Mhm.
is watching his mom and his dad interact is the greatest thing ever.
Well, and just when they had family dinner, I really, really loved it because the dad was like, all right, 3 sisters, all 3 of you are going to be your mom's lieutenant. You're going to be all her right hand.
Yes.
And then he looks at Pat and he's like, and Pat, we are going to do the incredibly important duty of taking care of the aesthetics to make sure that people get the right vibe when they enter the throne room. And Pat's like,
Oh, yeah.
I know, I'm a serpent slut. I'm totally into it. I don't
he's
want
like-
any other responsibility. Thank you so much.
I'm just so down. So the first person who shows up is my best friend in the whole world, Star Knight.
yeah.
And he rolls in, and before he can even start his hero, like, we're gonna save the world speech, he recognizes Pat, and he's like, you stole my cape, and you drew all over my face. And so he grabs onto Pat, and his mom loses her shit.
Yeah.
And then immediately hero baned. Star Knight is out of the game.
Yeah,
Except
gotta
the
go.
problem is Nick's hand, the back of his hand is stuck to the hero's bane. So he can't get away from Star Knight. So they end up moving Star Knight into an alcove, and Pat's just getting dragged along by the back of his hand. And then his dad pops up with like a gallon of oil, and he's like, here, use this, try and get out. Like, here you go. So like Pat's like desperately trying to get out. And then Nexus and Ariadne show up.
Okay.
And
It's their turn.
we haven't talked about Nexus, listener. Nexus is a hoagie, but she is a loose cannon.
She's a lunatic.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
And so they start to fight. Boom. And Nexus goes after the Snakey, and Serpentissima makes like a fog of black shadow that nobody can see through, but you can hear the fighting. Oh, by the way, they also have this super convenient thing where they can just mute sound in the hall
Oh.
so that they don't hurt their ears during the loud parts.
In the church, they can mute it? Why? How?
Great
What?
question. So moving on. So Ariadne is coming, and like she's trying to get Nick, and Nick is just tugging.
Why though?
He's running around in circles around and spinning Star Knight trying to get away from her. And he's like, I'm not the king of tag in my family for no reason. And she's like, because so he keeps like switching direction.
Yeah.
And he's like, God, my hand hurts so bad.
I would think so.
Yeah. So she's like fussing him. There's a bunch of fighting, and then the sluts decide to save their snaky friends. And so they're all ganging up, trying to go save the snakes because Nick finally gets away, right?
Wait, snakes plural. What are you talking about?
I forgot to tell you this. The serpent sluts have little snakes with them.
Oh, like his
Wrapped
pet
around
snake at
them?
dinner. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
All of them have little pet snakes, and the little pet snakes are hiding because
Yeah.
they're afraid.
Of
And
course.
and at this point, I think, Ariad, I didn't take great notes during this because
fine.
there was so much happening.
It's an action scene.
But Patrick gets out of the hero's bane somehow. Luckily, his skin is still attached. And he's like,
Thank goodness.
all right, serpent sluts, we have to go save those little baby snakes. And so you
Yes.
you take this stair, and you take this stair. And so they all go running in their sexy oiled glory to save
They're
all
all
of these
heroes
little
today.
snakes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And Patrick's really just stepping up and taking charge, and it's amazing. And now Ariadne and Nexus are both successfully locked up in the hero's bane.
Good.
But then Silver Paladin and Captain Cool show up.
And does she slither smell him?
Immediately, Serpentissima recognizes Nick's scent.
Yeah.
And she's like, what the fuck?
Are
and,
you
like,
dating my son?
She and he start going at it, but they're not using their most powerful weapons, notably.
because they're
they're not trying to
somebody
hurt
that
each
Pat
other.
loves.
Uh-huh. And like they're doing all of this, they're fighting, and then Captain Cool is being a real dick about it. He's like, I don't want to be in the middle of this. It seems like a personal thing. So I'm just going to like sit over here. But he keeps making like shitty, snarky comments. And so Patrick's like, sluts, get him. And so all
the serpent sluts go after Captain Cool.
Go after Captain Cool, and he's like disappeared underneath a mound of sexy oiled men. And you can like vaguely hear him being like, no, what are you doing? Like, get off of me. And like, Captain Cool doesn't matter now, right?
Oh my God.
By the way, the whole time this is happening, Patrick is just watching Nick fly around, and he's like, God, he's just, look how beautiful he is and wonderful. Look at that butt, though.
Look at his noble ass.
And his cool force fields and, like, that sexy mouth and, like...
He just does that brain stuff so good.
Just such a good brain stuff. And then they stop fighting, and Serpentissima looks Nick dead in the face and is like, how would you like to have a job? So Serpentissima offers Nick the most straight-laced hero of them all a job. And he's like, no, thank you.
I'd like to respectfully decline.
What if instead I help you into the hero corps? We'll reform, like we can reform you and you can come be a part of the hero corps. And meanwhile, Patrick is just watching, like, what the actual fuck is happening?
Absolutely.
Like, what? So then his
Who
mom
are these people?
Grabs Patrick and pulls him into a corner and puts up, like, a little snaky power thing where she can talk to, And so she's talking to him one-on-one. And she's like, oh, I'm so proud of you for wooing the Silver Paladin slowly over to our side with your sexy, sexy wiles. And, like, you could get some suggestions from the rest of the sluts on how to, like, do it better. And, like, and she's basically like, I'm so proud of you for sneaking in.
Yeah.
And getting in with the Silver Paladin so that you can, like, peel him away from the heroes and turn him into a villain.
Him.
Just,
Yeah.
And then she finishes it up, and he's just like, Mom, that's super not what's happening. And she's
I'm
like,
not doing that.
Interesting. Interesting. Moving on. And then she goes back, and she tells Nick, she looks him dead in his beautiful, beautiful mirrored visor face and says that she's abandoning her bid for power because walking over the corpse of her youngest and most venomous son is in bad taste.
What?
Or not his corpse, Nicholas's corpse, like the partner of her youngest and most venomous son. It's in bad taste. So I'm abandoning my bid for power. And now there's a truce, and she looks at him and says, you're coming to dinner on Saturday. Bring a salad and multiple types of salad dressing for different tastes and lots of salad because we all like salad quite a bit.
We love a salad.
And then she just goes, and he's like, how do I know you're actually giving up your bid for world domination, though?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, you can take Patrick as hostage. It's fine. So... he quote unquote takes Patrick hostage, and Pat is freaking out because they get back to Nick's house. Nick is washed. Patrick is still just oiled dirty and grimy, and he's just sitting on the couch, and he's like, oh my God, what if he doesn't actually want me, even though he has me in his house post the fight and all of these things, and I'm covered in grime and blah 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 blah. Well, Nick comes out, and Pat's like, I'm really sorry that I didn't tell you the thing. And Nick was like, oh, I knew that you were some villain's kid.
Well, to be fair, he kept on saying, like, you know, this guy is a family friend, and, like, being an evil minion isn't something that I'm, like, choosing to do. It's a family matter. Like, it's a family thing. It's an obligation.
Pat, our sweet dumb dummy, is like, what the fuck?
Wait, he's mad about it?
He's like, what do you mean you knew? Like, it's like, Pat,
you've been sending a lot of signals.
You're the worst at hiding this, my friend. Like, a better question is, why did your super smart, superhero boyfriend, it would be worse if he hadn't realized it.
Yeah.
My friend. So Pat's like, but you're not mad? And Nick is like, no, it's fine. Everything's fine. Yeah, no, you're fine. I support you. Like that. And initially Pat, because he's a sweet dummy, is like, oh, yay,
Great.
I'm forgiven.
Yeah.
And then he like notices that Nicholas's eyelashes are fluttering in a weird way.
Uh-oh.
And he's like, so, okay, you have to tell me what's going on because I can tell that something's going on. Nick smiled a smile Pat had never seen on him before.
Uh-oh.
This smile had teeth and a knife and some wicked martial arts skills and was very satisfied with the amount of damage it could inflict. Pat wouldn't have thought that kind of expression would work on Nick's features, but it really, really did. Turned out the heroic mastermind look was kind of hot on Nick. No surprise.
Yeah.
Turns out Nick is like, I have an in with Serpentissima, and I'm going to turn her into a fucking hero.
Yeah.
You're how I'm going to do it. And Pat's like, no.
Both of you are doing the same thing. I'm
He's
not
like,
going to be a part of this.
Well, no. Get this. Pat literally says that, and Nick is like, that's the best part. That's the best part. I know she wants me. He's like, dude, my mom's trying to do the exact same thing. And Nick's like, I know. It's brilliant.
I'm going to beat her at her own game.
And then he says the cutest thing. But then Nick looks at Pat and he's like, but don't make the mistake of believing yourself to be a pawn or a prize trap, Patrick. You're not the means. You're not the end either. You're the reason.
Oh, shit.
How had he known that was exactly what Pat had needed to hear? The end.
The end.
They live happily ever after.
They're together forever, and they do a bunch of evil and good hijinks all the time.
And also so much role play in that relationship, you know?
Yeah, and urban planning that just like makes everybody's lives better.
Nick is going to fund a city.
Nick is going to fund a pet city for Patrick.
This is why we need 18 more books.
I mean,
this
in
author,
my wildest dreams.
Like, I fell into a sci-fi hole after this, but like, this is gonna be a book that I reread, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I'm not a rereader, but this is like, oh my God.
It's so fun. It's so fun.
Yeah.
And like the descriptions of the scenery and everybody else are just as clever as Pat's inner monologue because it's basically told to you through Pat's inner monologue in third person, but still.
Yeah, this is all Pat.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. Pat's inner monologues is one of the greatest things that I've read in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, no doubt.
Yeah.
So,
all right, Sabrina,
Melody,
what's your lady love?
I got it first.
You
I did it first. You go first.
My lady love. Hey, listener, are you due for an upgrade? Did you forget that sometimes if you're in contracts with cellular companies, they do upgrades every once in a while? And like whether or not you have a big, giant, melting dick on the screen of your phone, look into it. You know what I mean? Like you might be eligible for an
When
upgrade.
did you become eligible for an upgrade?
Months ago. Like almost a year ago.
Do you remember when I asked you when you first told me about the dick?
I don't remember
If you
that
were
at all.
ready, like, though you should go see if you have an upgrade available for your phone.
It might have been over a year that I was eligible for an upgrade.
So I'm taking it that you did not hear me say that.
No, I might have heard it with my physical ears, but it didn't.
But you didn't.
It didn't noodle. It didn't noodle at all. But you know
didn't
what?
take that in.
Look at this beautiful, fully functioning
Wow, you don't have to take a screenshot in order to see what's in the bottom right-hand corner of your phone anymore.
I don't
because of
have
a
to
giant
tap
Masaka penis.
and search around for where the little trash can button is. I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to swipe back and forth when I'm trying to read my book on my phone to reveal the words and then pull them back so I can see the other half of the words and then reveal the right hand side of the words again.
I didn't even think about that when I realized you were eyeball reading this book. It didn't even cross my mind that you were gonna have to do that the whole fucking book. When did you get your new phone?
Before I read this book. Yeah, before.
Okay.
But like a lot of times I'll read before bed, like whatever I'm pleasure reading at the time.
Yeah.
And so I was sitting there. It kept me awake a lot longer than it normally does.
Sure, you were like super engaged.
Are you, check it out, listener. You might be eligible for an upgrade. That's my lady love. Upgrade your phone, especially when it makes your life incredibly inconvenient.
Oh my
Shockingly inconvenient.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
What's your lady love?
I forgot to think about it because I was laughing so hard about the
That's
fact
fair.
that
I'm hilarious.
you're something all right. My lady love is microwave fucking popcorn.
Ooh, yeah.
I go through phases where I just don't ever think about it, which is most of my life.
Sure.
And then when my friend was in town recently,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted popcorn as a snack. And so we got a box of popcorn.
Yeah.
And the extra buttery kind.
Of course.
I'm not eating popcorn to be healthy.
No.
I'm eating it as a vehicle for butter
None of that
flavoring.
air popped shit. I don't want that.
No,
not what I'm here for.
I want Orville Redenbacher's or whatever the fuck it's called with extra movie butter popcorn.
I want to have
Butter.
to wash my hands in between bites. You know?
Well, this I use gloves because I'm weird, but I put a glove on. You know this about me. You gave me shit about the fact that I eat my flaming hot Cheetos with gloves too.
I forgot.
I have psoriasis. I try not to wash my hands as I do it to be hygienic, but
I hear you.
it'll make my hands sad.
I'm all about it. Okay, so
Yeah.
you gloved up and you got
boy,
into that popcorn.
I've just been eating so much popcorn,
Love it.
and it makes me so happy. It's just such a good snack.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that because tonight, for the first time in a couple of months, we made popcorn for family movie time. We were watching the Bluey movie. It's not actually a Bluey movie, but normal Bluey episodes are 8 minutes, and this was a 28-minute episode, so it's essentially a Bluey movie.
Okay.
And
Episodes
we
are
had
8 minutes?
it's the perfect show. It's the perfect kid show. It's the best. Yeah. And so we had popcorn, buttered microwave popcorn for the first time in a couple of months, and it hit a spot I had forgotten I had, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, listener.
Keep being a badass.
And love yourself as much as you love roleplay sex on the job.
Yeah. Love yourself as much as you love oiling up for your mom and being a serpent slut.
Being your mom's head serpent slut.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
Bye. Oh, my God.
Thanks for coming along on this zany adventure. What a delight. We'll be back next week with another Reading Embrace treasure. See you then. Heaving Bosoms is produced by us, Sabrina Bradley and Melody Carlisle. Editing is done by Melody Carlisle. Our theme music is by the incredible singer-songwriter Brittany Fance, and our art is ultra-talented author Kay Pryor. Like what you hear? Then be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app, drop a 5-star rating, and leave a review. Not only is it the best way to find HBs, but don't forget about that 5-star bribe. For advertising inquiries or anything else, you can email us at heavingbosomspodcast@gmail.com. If you want more of us, visit patreon.com/heavingbosomspodcast for exclusive content and to join our lively Discord community. You can also find us on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at Heaving Bosoms, on TikTok at Heaving_Bosoms, and in our Facebook group, the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult.